There you are with your hand on the handrail going up the escalator, and I was just kind of lost in my own thought. And all of a sudden, I heard God speak to me very clearly, and he said, look around. I was like, what? He said, look around. So I just started looking like I'm doing, see, I got the best seat in the house right now because I can see all your beautiful faces, right? So I started looking around. I just was looking around the escalator and just noticing people. And some people were dressed very well. They were very nicely dressed, businessmen making money already on the escalator up out to the baggage claim. Some people were not dressed very well. Some people, you could hear them speaking excitedly in Tagalog and Spanish. And, I don't know what was going to happen in Atlanta, but they seemed like they were really excited about it. And some people just studying body language, they had their head slumped over, and you could tell maybe they were worried about something. Some people are all tatted up, Some people had a lot of piercings, And I thought to myself, I don't know these people. They're all exquisitely different. That's what I love. Like God, when God creates, it's just like Dr. Peter Kreeft says, we're artists because God is. Like when God creates, everybody's so different, so beautiful. And I don't know, maybe some of the people on that escalator love God. Maybe some people were ardent believers. Maybe some people were non-believers. Maybe some people hated God. I don't know their story, but God spoke to me very clearly that day, and he said, my daughter, you note this very well. Every single one of them is made in my image and likeness, and they belong to me. They are mine. And it reminded me of something Pope Benedict, when he was first elected as the Holy Father, his very first homily, he says, you're not some meaningless and casual product of evolution. Each person is the result of a thought of God. Each person is loved, each person is willed, and each person is necessary. That person that you love the most in your life, that brings you the most joy, that when you look at them, maybe it's your best friend, you're sitting next to them right now, it just brings you joy. That person. It's also the same person that came on your bus trip that is the most annoying person you've ever met in your entire life. And you were saying, please don't sit next to me, please don't. Oh, and they sit next to you like, dang, man. That person too, right? It's the person that loves you. It's the person that disagrees with you. It's the person that's broken. It's the person that's seeking exalted positions. Whatever our story, oh my gosh, whatever our story, God writes his destiny and dignity in every single person because there is no such thing as an ordinary person. Now, I don't know about you in your life, but I know in my own life I've had some deep sufferings. And sometimes, it's a question. That's what society proposes to us a lot. They say, oh, really, life is very good? Oh, really, then why does this happen? Oh, God is so good, then why does this happen? I bet every single one of us in this room has said, when we talk about suffering, when we talk about struggles in our life, we talk about disappointments and just brokenness. We've said the same thing that Frodo has said when he says, I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened. And what does Gandalf say? Gandalf says, so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. And it's God who so deeply and utterly delights in you. And this is what this rally is about, this celebration for life. Life in the womb, life out of the womb, life on all of its stages, life on all of its brokenness and joys and triumphs and beauty. Because each person is loved and willed and necessary, and there's no such thing as an ordinary person. I come here today, and as you see me, you probably have some ideas of kind of the life that I live. It's not like Sound of Music. Don't even trip about that. It's like, we don't do that, okay? I live in Texas, too, and there's no mountains, and I don't play the guitar, really. But my life is a lot like yours. And I remember, just day in and day out of searching God and asking for forgiveness and having him heal me of my sin and my brokenness and desiring abundant life. And so often I wake up in the morning and I say, Lord, I want to live a life that's abundantly full. I want to live life to the fullest. And when you look at all the story of your life, how we're loved, willed, and necessary, of how every single person has a destiny, there's no such thing as a superfluous person or an unplanned person or an accident. Sometimes we're a surprise to our parents, to say the least, but not to God. And he so delicately, when he creates, he doesn't create just once. He creates over and over and over and over and over again, because life always triumphs and love always wins and hope triumphs over fear, because God loves us. And I remember when I was in college, and I mentioned I played Division I college volleyball, and I wanted to work for ESPN. That was kind of what I was pursuing in my life. But I had kind of a duplicitous life going on. I had one life that was very, on the surface, looked perfect, because you talk about filters. I'm old, there were no cell phones back then, but I would have been Instagram all over the place, right? The filter of, my life is perfect, I'm just fine. But then the other side of life, where I said, man, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't decide how my story began. but I felt helpless to overcome it. And I wasn't so sure that life was very good. And I love what God does is because God will send people in your life. Like this is a powerful testimony to hope. To hope in a dark world, us just coming together today and all the people that will go to march today, all the people that are praying and sacrificing for us is a powerful testimony to hope. And what God did is he sent in my life many years ago a Catholic priest. And that priest, I'd never met anybody who was authentically holy like that. I hope you know somebody who's authentically holy because they live differently. Pope Benedict says the one who has hope lives differently. And Father was just so vibrant and so alive, and he wasn't perfect because the saints aren't perfect, right? And he had his own stuff. But he was so vibrantly alive, and just the passion of his goodness of life and the passion of his heartfelt seeking God, it just radiated out of him. And I remember I was 21 years old, and here I am, a senior in college, and like I said, wanting to work for ESPN and all this kind of stuff that I was pursuing. I was also an alcoholic. My life was very broken. I had a lot of secrets, and I was a sick young lady. And I wasn't so sure that life was very good. But I remember looking at Father saying, man, I don't know what you've got. I don't know what that is, but I want it. I want that. And I remember Father looking at me saying, you know what, there is no such thing as an ordinary person. Because see, I don't stand before you here today just because I believe everything I've just said to you because it's true. But see, I too was an unplanned pregnancy. My biological parents were seniors in high school. They were 17 years old. Obviously not married, and I was the fruit of their union. And I was conceived shortly after Roe versus Wade was passed in this country. And I don't know my biological parents to this day. I've never met them, but I have a deep intuition that at one point my mother thought of aborting me, but she didn't. And I stand here before you today because a scared 17-year-old girl said yes to life, and I was the child in her womb. And there's so much beauty that God has worked not only in my life, but in your life as well. And his testimony that life is very good is an affirmation of who you are as a person. And it's not just a once-a-year thing. It is a daily living. That is Christianity lived out, my dear friends. It is the choice, like Michael Phelps, to get into the pool every day, for Simone Biles to get in the gym every day. It is the daily weight room of life, where we can choose to ignore somebody and say something on social media, or we can choose to affirm their life and be kind. And that's where spiritual strength comes from. Because there is no such thing as an ordinary person, beginning with you. And I don't know where you're at in your life. Like, I don't know what your suffering is. I don't know what your joys are, what your deepest desires are. But I want to tell you that right now, that is not the end of the story. That God is triumphing in our lives, and he's always bringing us closer to himself, and he's always bringing out our secrets and all the areas that we hide to bring us to an abundant, full, vibrant life. And that is the most powerful witness we will ever give, is how we live our day-to-day life. And people will see that, and they say, man, I don't know what you guys got, but I want that. And it's my prayer that on this day, that as we march together, as we celebrate the Eucharist, the source and summit of our faith, that as we receive Jesus, the Lord and giver of life, that our pursuit of life, our witness to life and hope doesn't end here, but it's a beginning and a continuation of the affirmation of the goodness of all life, that God lives in every single person. There's no such thing as an ordinary person. And every time we say yes to truth, we say yes to life. We say yes to the captivating beauty of God's love for us. God bless you. Thank you very much.